Hello, everyone. This is Bill Apter, and I just finished taping an episode of Count It Out with Mike and Tyler, or Tyler and Mike. They're brilliant hosts. You've got to listen. You've got to see. Count It Out. Yeah, I endorse it. They've got the After Chat seal of approval.
This is Paul the Butcher Vashon, and you're listening to the Count It Out.
Well, we are live, pals, and welcome back to another edition of Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. My name is not Danny. See what I did there?
I see what you did there.
I am Tyler, and of course, I am always joined by the one and only Mojito Mike. Mike, before I ask how you're doing, just want to say you and Danny did a great job reuniting the team last week. We did not get cancel cultured. We did probably lose a few YouTube subscribers because you ugly motherfuckers, but Spotify numbers were fantastic. Highly entertaining show you guys did. So hats off to you, gentlemen.
I'm a little, I don't know, disheartened, sad by the fact that when you and I have great conversations about wrestlers and about wrestling, we do mediocre numbers. But when I talk about doing coke off the erect dick of a homeless person, we do record numbers in a week. So maybe we got to start talking about what we talk about on this show: less wrestling and more homeless coke dick.
That will not be happening. That will be our that will be our Patreon exclusives when we're rich and famous, and you and Danny can have the Patreon exclusives. Well, anyways, it's good to be back in the saddle. Definitely missed recording over the last couple of weeks. We've had some interviews. I've been off the shelf, so let's see if I can remember how to do this. I think we have a really fun.
You haven't done a list in quite a while.
It's been a while.
You've been letting me list it up since I'm going on hiatus soon. So you've been giving me all the lists. So it's nice to have you do a list this week. I'm looking forward to possibly shitting on your list, but I don't know. I mean, Backlash has a history of great matches. Yes. It really does. So yes. I don't know if there's really even a possibility of me hating your list this week.
I don't know, to be honest, because we're doing Backlash Wrestlemania rematches, so it's not the greatest Backlash matches of all time. I went back, watched all the WrestleMania rematches at Backlash, preparing for this list. I did not do the pay-per-view that happened this week. I left it off the list. We'll do a fun little thing at the end about that. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I think I did good. I have not done a list.
So in total, how many matches did you have to watch?
I watched probably about 15 matches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 matches I watched.
So in history, not including this year, there's only been 12 Backlash rematches?
As far as I saw, unless I missed something.
Right. Okay.
But and I was very specific too. It has to be an exact WrestleMania rematch. Now, there could have been a stip to it. That's fine.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, not exact. I mean, I count Charlotte and Ronda to be a rematch,
yes,
even though they did not have an I Quit match at WrestleMania.
The example that I'll use is WrestleMania 20. Chris Jericho and Christian fought at WrestleMania, but at Backlash it was Jericho versus Trish and Christian. So that is not a WrestleMania.
That's not a rematch.
No, so there can be a stipulation involved, and that's fine. I do have a little vent I want to go on. Not a vent. That's the wrong word. But last at the pay-per-view this week, we saw Edge's Judgement Day faction grow a new member. It was Rhea Ripley, which I think is a great addition.
100%.
And you and I were talking, and I kind of was like, why did Edge just all of a sudden become full-fledged dark Edge? Like, and you brought up a good point. It's been a little bit of a slow build. He started doing the Brood entrance at SummerSlam, but I just feel like it was such a drastic and dramatic turn from out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, he all of a sudden just came out and said, I want a phenomenal match at WrestleMania, and then turned heel on AJ. And then the next week he was this whole new person.
I just don't know if I agree with that, just because, I mean, if you look at the history and the evolution of that character from a kayfabe standpoint, he started off as a tortured soul.
Yes.
And then he was in the Brood, and then it was, yes, did he become more of a exaggerated version of Adam Copeland? Of course he did, but he's got those dark roots. He was part of the ministry. He was, you know what I mean? So he's got those dark roots. So to see him do this, kind of, it makes sense to me.
Now, I agree with everything you're saying, and this is my fantasy booking that I think I wish would have happened, because I love what Edge is doing right now, and I love
it's great. It's fun,
and I love that he is touching on his roots again, like you said. But I just didn't like how it was just snap my finger. 1 week he was rated R superstar. 1 week he was no entrance, just dark character, right? I wish something big would have triggered it. And I really wish that it involved Gangrel.
I mean, I agree with you. After they did there was rumors that they reached out to Gangrel, and then all of a sudden something couldn't happen because of COVID.
AEW was going to bring him in, but when Edge did the Brood entrance, they were like, "Wow, we don't."
Okay. So I remember that wrong. But you're right. I would have liked to see Gangrel involved in this. I really would have.
What I would have liked to have seen though would have been. Do you remember back in the Dungeon of Doom days? Now, don't shit on me yet because I'm saying the Dungeon of Doom. But do you remember when they had King Iakea as the master, and he was like Sullivan, and he kind of, I wish that Gangrel kind of showed up randomly on Raw and was like, you've got something dark inside of you, my friend. And I wish over a couple weeks, he would try to bring that out of Edge. And I would like the blow off to have been him spitting the red into Edge's face and laying him out with the DDT. And I would have liked Edge to wake up as this dark persona. And I think I would have liked them to have called this faction the Brood.
I see where you're coming from with everything you're saying. I get it. At the same time, I'm kind of digging that they're doing something somewhat original. I mean, original is a hard word. We're into Simpsons territory at this point, where everything's been done. Right? Nothing's original anymore. No. But this is, if you're going to rehash something that's been done, this is the way to rehash it. Yes. And I like it. And I like the name Judgment Day, because he being Edge has a tie to that pay-per-view. The Judgment. Right? Yeah. So I love, even with with Backlash, I love that they redid his old Backlash pay-per-view poster. So I like the name Judgment Day. It's
growing on me still. I'm not there yet.
I like the pairing of him and Damian Priest.
Me too.
And now Rhea Ripley.
Me too.
Here's my question to you. Do you keep it as a trio? Do you bring anybody else in? What do you do?
The rumor on the street is Tommaso Ciampa might be the next one to join. And I'd be okay with that.
I would be very okay with that. I would be very okay with that. I wish they were either bringing back or just never got rid of Bray Wyatt, because Bray would be a great foil for this. If
I thought you were going to say addition, and I didn't like that. No, foil. No, I like that. I like that.
I would like him to be the dark baby face.
I mean, Pat McAfee mentioned him on commentary last night.
Did he? Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
He would be great to come back to, and even if he came back with Eric Redbeard or something, you know what I mean? It would be great to have him come as either Bray Wyatt or The Fiend. It doesn't matter to me, but as that dark, 1992 Undertaker, the dark, scary figure, but he's a good guy.
Yeah.
to go up against the darkness that is infecting the WWE. I think that would be cool. But right now, AJ is a great counter to this. I'm loving what they're doing with the story right now.
I love that it's AJ and Finn Balor because you got the Bullet Club connection there, which is really good. I also
the
just want
Bullet Club connection. And do you think, do we get to the point where Finn has to bring in the Demon?
That'd be great. What a perfect time to bring it back, right?
Yeah.
Not that I see this happening, but Gallows and Anderson's contract is running up in Impact Wrestling.
To see a Bullet Club reunion in WWE would be phenomenal right now, just because we got the Bullet Club in Impact. Then to have they wouldn't call it the Bullet Club, but the club in WWE, and then AEW is doing what they're doing with that kind of thing. Yeah, it would be cool to see that.
The Undisputed Elite, sorry, is what they're calling.
Is that what they're calling it?
Yeah, okay. With the Undisputed Era and the Elite.
Yeah. I would love that. I would love to have an incarnation of the Bullet Club in every single major promotion. I would love that.
New Japan, obviously,
nothing more. Got the Bullet Club. Of course. But do I see it happening? No.
Neither do I. I don't see it happening either. I think that they're going to AEW personally, or they're going to stay put in Impact Wrestling. I hope they stay in Impact Wrestling.
I hope to stay as well. I mean, we already lost, we being Impact fans, we already lost Willie Mack and Jonah this week.
Yeah.
I don't think we can. If we didn't lose Willie or Jonah, I would have been like, you know what? Good brothers. I love them, but let them go wherever they want. Because we did lose Willie Mack and Jonah, I really don't want to lose the Good Brothers.
See, I think losing the Good Brothers is bad for Impact, because the Good Brothers are a proven draw, and they've been a great draw for Impact Wrestling, and I'd like to see them stay there. I think they're doing great stuff. I also just want to rehash when I mentioned earlier about the Brood name. I just want the name. I don't want the fire. I want everything to stay the same with that. Just
Oh, okay.
I don't want the Brood. I just want the name.
Man, and if he wasn't already with AEW, another guy that would be amazing to come back would be Christian. Have Christian coming to like, what the fuck?
Do you see the resemblance that everyone's talking about everyone saying that this is a ripoff to Malachi Black's House of Black or whatever?
This is what I was kind of alluding to before, where everything is rehashed now.
Yeah,
and that's not me shitting on anything. It's just what it is. Wrestling's been happening for 50 fucking years, 100, well, way longer, but in the mainstream for over 50 fucking years. It's hard to keep coming up with new shit. What you have to do is you take something that worked and you make it different and you do it again. You're telling, if people watching AEW, including the people involved in AEW, think that the House of Black is a new concept, they're fucking high. So to say that they're ripping off House of Black is stupid.
Yeah. They are very similar, but they're doing their own thing.
They're doing their own thing. I think House of Black is really fun, but is House of Black a ripoff of the Dark Order? And is the Dark Order a ripoff of the Ministry of Darkness? And is
Wyatt
you know what I mean?
And whatever.
And
Kevin Sullivan.
And then it goes all the way back to Dungeon of Doom, just like you brought up. You know what I mean? So don't give me that shit. I don't believe in the ripoff scenarios unless you have a direct absolute plagiarism. I don't want to hear about ripoffs because it's what I call the Simpsons theory. South Park did a whole episode about the Simpsons already did it because it has everything's been done. Everything's been done.
Just take a look at movies these days. How many remakes do you have? How many new Batmans do you have? How many new?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Shut your mouth and enjoy it, people.
Yeah.
Because they're all fucking awesome. And you know what? The way that the world of professional wrestling is going, who's not to say in the next 3 years that we're not going to get a 6-man tag out of this? You know what I mean?
And I don't even know that the fans, the AEW fans, would have been jumping on that bandwagon if Malachi Black himself didn't start it by saying, when we order the House of Black on Wish or whatever.
I actually really like that line. I thought it was good.
I truly think, I don't know this for a fact, this is just a theory. I think that was him just being, I think he's poking fun. I don't think he was like, fuck these guys for ripping me off. I think he's like, hey, look, and I think he's poking fun.
Listen,
but the fans take it a little too far.
I agree. Listen, I think it's healthy for the boys to take shots every now and then at the competition if it's done in a way like that. You know what I mean? He's not shitting on the WWE.
And you have to remember, a lot of these guys are still friends.
100%.
They
exactly.
work together. There's a good chance, I don't know about Edge in this scenario, but there's a good chance that Malachi Black and Damian Priest, who worked in NXT at the same time, are buddies. So for him to take a shot at that, I think is probably very tongue in cheek and not out of malice at all. Now, I could be wrong, who knows, but that's how I read it. But then, of course, the fans who have nothing to do with anything at all take it upon themselves to be like, oh, well, WWE can't do anything original any day, and AEW does everything great. And then vice versa. You have your WWE fans, oh, AEW can't get over without former WWE guys.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Listen,
watch the product.
There's a right and a wrong way to be proud of your brand. And I'll use Seth Rollins as an example. I love that Seth Rollins is pro WWE, and Becky Lynch says, we have the best women's wrestlers in the world. You need to say that, because if you're Absolutely. Like, oh man, that Britt Baker, she's better than our roster. Or, Deonna Purrazzo could wrestle circles around Bianca. Like, that makes your product look weak. That's like a proper way to represent your brand. But when Seth Rollins goes out, it's like, how much money do you have, Will Ospreay? And Braun Strowman is like, oh, these indie whiners. Like, that makes you look like a dickhead. There's a right way. There's a right way to be proud of your brand.
A right way and a wrong way.
The Young Bucks kind of do it a little dickheady, but like Malachi put in that wish thing. Like, that's good. Like, that's healthy.
It was clever. And it was a one-time thing. It's not like he was hitting that button every other day.
The way that the New Day and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega had their little rivalry a couple years ago, I thought that was great. It was fun. Exactly, right?
Especially knowing that all those guys are buddies.
Yeah. When the FTR and Cody fucked the Revival, like that's hilarious. Like
that was fun.
That's a good way to do that shit.
Speaking of good ways and bad ways to represent your brand, there's also a good way to, sure, you don't want to put over your competition, but sometimes you have to acknowledge that they're fucking good. And the one guy that did it goddamn good today, as of this recording, is Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
Somebody put out a tweet saying Roman Reigns couldn't last 5 minutes in the ring with Omega. And Omega's response is amazing. He says, I'm sure he could. He's their top guy for a reason, and he works hard to be that guy. I think the match would surprise a lot of people. And I could not agree more with that sentiment.
What a great match
that
would be.
You want to give me, I don't care what product it is, AEW, WWE, you want to give me Roman Reigns and Kenny Omega, fucking sign me up. Take my money. That match is money to me.
Okay, let's segue into something that we didn't really plan or talk about, and we can go into this in more detail next week. I think this would be a great hypothetical to really go in detail for.
Sure.
If Kenny Omega is cleared in time for the Forbidden Door pay-per-view, who do you put him with, and why?
There's so many, man. I mean, the easy answer would be, because he's got so much history with him, would be Okada. I personally would like to see him with Ospreay.
That'd be a great match. That'd be a great match. Do you put Punk with Okada?
I think that's your money match right there. I
think so?
I think we're going to see Punk and Okada. I really do.
I'd like to see Punk and Ospreay.
There's no bad.
I mean, there's no bad matches.
There's almost no bad combinations here. There really isn't. This is a good way to bring in the Guerrillas of Destiny.
There you go.
FTR, Guerrillas of Destiny.
I like that. Speaking of healthy competition, did you hear what NATO said about this pay-per-view? somebody asked him, who do you want to fight at this Forbidden Door pay-per-view? And he said, I'm not going to call anybody out. These guys can call me out. They all want to fight me. I don't care who I fight.
Love it. NATO is the man. Yeah.
Fantastic answer.
I love NATO for that. Like he's always got good shots like that. I love his press conferences, his interviews.
Yeah. I think maybe next week we should do our.
And then like who do you put Tanahashi with? Who do you put Zack Sabre with? Like
Bryan
there's
Danielson.
so many. There, oh my God! Like you got so many guys that can make this. Like there's so many mixed matches. You're either going to. It's going to be a great pay-per-view, and then you're going to have your toxic fans being like, "Oh, that's not what they should have done." You know what I mean? Because you're never going to please everybody.
Do you think
but
that
no matter what, at the end of the day, no matter whether you like the matches or not, they're going to be great matches. They're going to the product at the end of the day. This is the first time in history I am excited about an AEW pay-per-view because these matches are going to be phenomenal.
Do you think that they fucked up a little bit by not putting this in a bigger venue? Maybe trying to run a smaller stadium?
They have this like sick obsession with Chicago.
Yeah.
And I just don't get it. Sure.
I mean, I get it. The crowd's hot.
Is Okada Punk going to make a whole lot of money in Chicago? Sure it is. But guess what? It's going to make money anywhere.
Yeah, well, like it's sold out before a match was announced, right?
Yeah. But yes, I think they should have went for a bigger venue. And if and when this is a success, I say they make it an annual pay-per-view, and they switch off every year. Next year's got to be in the Tokyo Dome.
Yep.
I say you do one in the States, one in Tokyo, one in the States, one in Tokyo. That's because people in the States are going, or in Canada, are going to pay money for that pay-per-view in the Tokyo Dome.
Now they will.
They will.
Do you think that the North American wrestlers are over enough for people to care to buy it to fill out the Tokyo Dome? You think so?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I
don't know how they're perceived over there. I know some guys are like,
I think they will sell out the Tokyo Dome, even if the Japanese fans don't know some of the wrestlers, they will still pay to be like, oh, our guy Okada is facing off against one of the biggest names in the States. Yeah, I'll go.
I mean,
it'll do good. It'll do very good numbers no matter what.
Just having Kenny and the Young Bucks coming back to Japan alone, I think, is a big deal, right?
Well, that's it too, because there's going to be a lot of American wrestlers that are going to go back over that have been there, that are known there, right? So that's a good thing.
Do you think we see AEW guys in the G1 this year?
Ooh, I never gave that thought.
No, I do.
No, I don't. Maybe one or two. Maybe.
I think you're going to see Moxley in there, and Danielson.
Ooh. What do you do at Forbidden 4 with these guys? Do you give them a tag match, or do you give them one-on-ones?
I want one-on-ones. I want Danielson in a one-on-one match. Give me Danielson and Okada over Punk and Okada personally.
Give me Danielson and Ospreay.
Give me Danielson and Tanahashi, man. That'd be great. Like,
yeah.
Fun stuff, man.
Give me Mox and Suzuki.
Again,
give me Mox
why
and
not?
Ishii. Give me Mox and Ishii. Give me a hard hit. I want him against one of the strong style guys, like one of the hard hitters.
You know what the problem is, though, is we're listing all of these matches, and this is something that you said to me off air. We have not mentioned the AEW World Champion once. Do you take the belt?
Because once again, this is not me shitting on Hangman Page because I love his in-ring stuff. I think he's great. He is just not a fucking draw as champion. It's just what it is.
Yeah, because his title run has been good. He's had fantastic matches with Danielson.
I haven't been,
but he's just getting
out of all the things making me interested in watching the show. Page is not one of them, unfortunately.
Yeah. But if you look at him from an in-ring standpoint, him and Cole tore the house down a few times. Him and Lance Archer tore the house down. Him and Danielson tore the house down on more than one occasion. But people are more interested in CM Punk and
That's
MJF.
it.
People are more interested in the other stuff going on. So is it time to take the belt off of him? Do you put the belt on CM Punk?
Is it time to take it off of him? Yes. Is it time to put it on Punk? I don't think so. But which one do you do? If one has to be over the other, I'm putting it on Punk. I don't want Punk as champion right now. I wanted him to keep doing this earning my spot thing for a while, but it's time to take it off Page. And if it means giving it to Punk for a while, so be it.
I was in agreement with you for a long time. I thought, let's keep Punk out of it for a year or two, like a year and a bit. I just feel like it's time right now. I think Punk is peaking perfectly right now. His matches are getting incredible every week, and he's so over with the crowd. I would like to see Punk take the belt, and it doesn't need to be a long run, but if they do a long run, I'm okay with doing what they did in WWE 2 with him and turning him heel halfway through it.
Yeah.
Right?
That'd be all right.
Because the CM Punk Babyface tour is going to run its course within the next year.
It always does.
Right?
People prefer Punk as a heel. He's gone longer than I expected without people turning on him.
You know what, though?
AEW.
He's real over. It's not time to turn him yet.
Extremely over.
Yeah,
No, not yet. Not yet. They need to push. If they're going to make him champion, they got to make him a babyface champion.
Yeah.
And then turn him.
He's really connecting with that audience right now. There's
Absolutely.
And his in-ring
which is probably like part of the reason they like to play the Chicago market so much.
Well, yeah, obviously, right? But I'm telling you, if anyone hasn't watched a couple of his matches recently, go back, watch him and Dax against each other from about a month ago.
Man, I'm not going to share him. He's doing...
It's some of the best in-ring work I've seen him do ever.
Yeah, exactly. He's doing ROH quality shit here. He really is. I mean, he slowed down a little bit. Of course he has. The man's what?
He works smarter now.
He's got to be 40 years old.
He does
work smarter. 100%. Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
We are looking at a different CM Punk than we were during his, let's say, last 3-4 WWE years.
Yeah, absolutely.
We really are.
I'll tell you what, people. Let's leave it to you guys. Leave us some comments. Who do you want to see fight each other at Forbidden Door? And is it time to take the belt off Hangman Page? And if it's not Punk, who do you put the belt on? Do you think beating Punk helps Page? Like, they fed him a lot. They fed him Danielson. It didn't help him.
No. I don't think it beats. I don't think it helps him.
I think it hurts.
I think losing. I think losing to Punk and possibly turning heel might help him.
I think a heel turn is definitely in order for Hangman Page.
Yeah.
I agree with that. All right, man. What do you think? You want to get into some list action here? You want to see if I remember how to do this?
Let's do some Backlash, man. I'm in Backlash mode. I unfortunately did not get a chance this week to watch a lot of old Backlash, so some of the matches you mentioned are not going to be fresh in my memory. But I did, and we'll talk about this at the end of the show. I did watch this year's Backlash.
Yeah.
So I am all about rematches right now. I'm excited to talk about these rematches.
So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'm now going to try to remember how to do a list. I have not done a list since Scott Hall passed away. That's the last list I did.
It's been a while.
I just checked it up. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one.
Well, you're going to get a lot of lists this summer, brother.
Yeah, that's true. So top 7 WrestleMania rematches to happen at Backlash. And let's go with number 7. I'm going back to the year. I didn't write the years down. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, yeah, I did. The year 2001. And I'm going with the Duchess of Queensberry match between William Regal and Chris Jericho.
Okay.
Okay,
so with each match, I want you to tell me, number one, of course, why it's on your list. That's obvious. But I also want to know if each match, whether or not it's better than its successor.
Oh, I'll try to remember
whether or not, you know what I mean? Whether or not, did you get a chance to go back and watch any WrestleMania matches, or
I did
you
not
only watch the rematches?
I did not. I have a pretty good memory of most of the WrestleMania matches, though. Some of them I'm a little bit blank on.
I meant predecessor, not successor. But yes.
For me, these matches were just so different because this was more of a comedy match, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Jericho and Regal had a great match at WrestleMania 17. Now Regal.
You have such a boner for this whole P and the T thing, don't you?
Oh my God, the facial expression. Ooh, it's so funny. I love Regal, right? Not just his microphone work, but I love him in the ring. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean?
Absolutely. And it doesn't matter what era either. You go back, watch some of his early WCW shit. It's fucking spot on.
Yeah, and that's
him and Dave Taylor. Oh my, yeah.
Him and Bobby Eaton. Woo!
Yeah.
This match was great though because it was kind of a playoff of like they've done this gimmick a few times where the rules keep changing throughout the match. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and they had this like weird looking lady as the Duchess of Queensberry. She had the big hair, like Regal. They did a comedy spot where Jericho drop kicked her and Regal's face went into her crotch and he came up with like the disgusted face. And Heyman and Jim Ross were having a field day with it. They were great. You know, Jericho had the match won by submission, but then there was no submissions allowed in the match because that was the rule. It looked like Jericho was going to win by pin, but then the round was over. Like, it was just a fun match. You know, number 7 was tough. Like, there was just a lot of disappointing matches on this Backlash list, in all honesty. So this was, I think, I could have put a couple other matches on it, but I was more entertained by this match than some of the other ones.
I'll have to revisit it. I don't know that I've ever rewatched this match.
I mean, it's not something you got to go out of your way to watch, but it's just, you know, JR.
But I will say this because we're talking 2001, right? One of my favorite eras of Y2J, like the character work he was doing at this point is some of the I'm going to put it in my top 3 favorite Jericho personas.
Yeah,
he was great during this time.
And Kurt Angle just came on record and said that Jericho's the GOAT.
Yeah, I read that. He is entitled to his own opinion. I do not agree.
I don't think he's the greatest of all time, but I think he's in the top 10. I think maybe
he's in the top 10 conversation 100%. 100%. I will not take that. But the fact that he actually said the words that Jericho has usurped Shawn Michaels, I don't agree.
I understand the point he was trying to make, but I don't think that anybody will beat Shawn Michaels.
I don't.
No. Including the guys in my number 6, and one of them's a hell of a hand. They're both hell of a hands. We're going back to 2007, a rematch from WrestleMania 23, Chris Benoit and MVP.
I was wondering where this was going to fall because I knew it was going to be on your list. This is a great match.
Very, very underrated match. Very underrated rivalry these guys have.
100%. I love this whole... MVP is... Don't get me wrong. I think he's doing some of his best work right now as a manager. I really do. But he is so underappreciated as a professional wrestler. He really is. You look back at stuff like the stuff he did with Matt Hardy is so fucking fun, and people never talk about it. You know what I mean? He had one of the funnest entrances ever. He is just... He's so good and nobody talks about him. And this proves it. He was going up against one of the greatest professional wrestlers in history, and we collectively forget about it. It's very sad.
These guys just had a knockdown, drag out fight too. You know what I mean? It was technically great. It was hard hitting. Benoit got the win in here. MVP
showed that MVP could go.
Yeah,
it really
this
did.
was like his test because MVP was still pretty new at this time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't remember enough about the WrestleMania match to say which one was better. I think this one might have been better because they got more time.
Benoit won the WrestleMania match, right?
Yeah.
But
MVP won a rematch on SmackDown, which made this the rubber match. So, and JBL and Michael Cole were really good on commentary for this as well.
Right.
Number 5, the greatest wrestling match of all time. We're going back to just a couple years ago. I believe it was 2020. Edge and Randy Orton.
I am so fucking happy you put this on your list.
It's a great match.
I was ready for this not being your list. I was ready to bring it up after. Um, their WrestleMania match left a lot to be desired.
It was not a good match.
No, it was not. It was not a great match, but I'm willing to give it to them because it was Edge's first match back in 9 fucking years. It was not supposed to go that way because all of a sudden, when they were planning this match, we were not in a pandemic.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we're in a pandemic.
Yeah.
So they had to change everything on the fly. So I'm willing to give them a pass on that. But then they had time to plan out a phenomenal match for Backlash. And now, do I think it was a smart move or even a like I know it was a tongue-in-cheek thing, but to bill it as the greatest wrestling match of all time, that was stupid. It was really dumb, and I remember hating that.
Yeah.
But what they gave us was still a like holy shit. It was a match of the year candidate for that year. It was. I love that match. I truly love that match. Yeah. Now, people shit on the match because they're like, well, it wasn't greatest match in the history of professional wrestling, so fuck it. It was. You watch that match, and if they didn't put that title on it, we would be talking about that match as one of the greatest matches of the decade.
It went over 40 minutes.
It was so good.
Yeah, it was great.
And
the little things they did, Howard.
It was one of those matches that can keep you. It was really hard to keep interest in the matches without the crowds.
Yeah.
And that match did it.
Yeah. There were a couple parts where it was a little bit like, you know what I mean? But I mean, they're just such good storytellers. Like they knew when to slow it down. They knew when to bring it up. Yeah. I really love this match. I thought
this is Randy at pure Randy heel. Like
people forget how good Randy was in the early days of the pandemic. People forget him and Oscar were the MVPs of the early days of the pandemic.
100%. He was proving that he was not done yet at that point, right now he's just having fun.
Yeah.
But he was proving he's like, I still have it. I'm still the best heel in the business. Right now, a lot of people, including probably myself, say that the Miz is the best heel in the business, at least in WWE right now.
It's tough to argue.
And I say that's true. Because Randy Orton's letting him be it.
Because Randy Orton's a face right now.
Because Randy Orton is a face right now. When Randy decides it's time for a heel turn, then Miz can step back.
Fair. And Randy Orton, I love me some Randy Orton, man. He's the best.
I mean, we talked about Randy. We talked about Randy ad nauseum on the show a couple weeks ago. And this match is just proof that after at this point, it was 18 years into his career, and he was still having the best match on the card.
Yeah, and he's still doing it 20 years into his career.
100%.
And a couple guys.
Thank you for putting this on your list. I'm very happy that this is on.
I mean, my list would be shit if it wasn't on there.
There you go.
Number 4. I think it's time we go all the way back to the first ever Backlash. 1999, The Rock versus Steve Austin.
Fuck, I forgot that they had this fucking match at Backlash.
Yeah.
I truly forgot. Okay. Can you rewatched it recently? Bring me back to it then. Because I don't remember this match.
They were doing the storyline with where Shane McMahon stole the Smoking Skull title.
Okay.
And so he had
Sorry, what year is this again?
99. This is right after WrestleMania 15.
Right after WrestleMania 15. Okay.
Yeah. Which I wish I had time to rewatch because I don't remember which match was better. Have Rock and Austin had better matches with each other? Sure. But this was a fun brawl. And this is just it's just so fun to see Steve Austin in 99. You know what I mean? Like everything he does, the crowd's into. They brawled all over the place. Shane McMahon was the referee for this match. Vince came out and punched out Shane and helped Austin win the match because Vince and Shane were kind of feuding a little bit. They just Austin and Rock in 99. You could just see the Rock ready to explode to that next level here.
Right.
And Austin was Austin. He was already the biggest thing in the world. The crowd was crazy for it. These guys and their chemistry is off the chart.
Do you happen to remember what city it was in?
I don't know where they were. You know what? I think it might have been Chicago. In all
That would
honesty.
make a lot of sense. Yeah.
Or either that or that was 2001. I can't remember. I think maybe 2001 was in Chicago. I can tell you right now, we have this magical thing called Google, and it just
Yeah,
tells me right now.
Rhode
Backlash,
Island.
Providence, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Dunkin' Donuts Center. So yeah, 2001 was in Chicago.
All right.
Number 3. You want to go number 3? You want to talk about this a little more?
Who won the match?
Austin won.
Austin won. Okay.
Yeah, Austin won. The Rock was never allowed to beat Austin.
I guess I should know that because it was a title match, obviously, right? Yeah. Okay.
Number 3, we're doing another title match, and we're also going back to the same year. That would be 2007, and we're going to do the Undertaker versus Batista.
Yeah. Fuck.
Last man standing.
Because
match.
both matches, the WrestleMania one is in my top 20 favorite WrestleMania matches.
Me too.
It is so fucking good. But this rematch is fucking up there, man.
This one is the only one that I can't pick which match is better between the two. I'm gonna give the nod to WrestleMania.
I think so too.
Just because of like there was a finish and it's WrestleMania, whatever. But man, these guys told such a great story for a last man standing match. Taker is just so smart the way he works, right?
Well, his psychology is almost second to none. I mean, yeah, you can make an argument for maybe Jake Roberts, but like nobody does psychology like the Undertaker.
And these guys pulled out all the stops. They went through tables. There's hard hitting, stair shots. Batista was bleeding buckets in the match. They had the big finish where they both went off the stage for the double count out, right? Which led into their cage match, which led into Edge cashing in, Batista having to take time off, right? Was it Batista that took time off? Yeah, Batista had to take time off for his arm, right? Yeah, and then they picked up the rivalry later in the year. These guys had such good chemistry together. It's Taker's most underrated rival of all time, Batista.
1000%. We've talked about this in the show, I think, a few times. I love this rivalry. Just to you were talking about 2007. Just to mention, this is the year that Edge made that poster that they remade this year.
There you go, full circle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, highly recommend checking this out. You know what?
I do remember that match very well. I can't make a decision whether or not it's better than the WrestleMania match or not.
I'm gonna stick with Mania just by a hair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just by a hair. My number 2 and my number 1 were really hard to figure out where I was gonna put what.
There's a few matches that you haven't mentioned, so I'm really okay. Go for it.
Number 2, I'm doing Chris Benoit versus Triple H versus Shawn Michaels. Rematch from WrestleMania 20.
Now, I'm very happy that this is here because we talked about a week ago and you said that it didn't live up to your memories.
Yes, still an amazing match, but I had it on a pedestal.
So the farther that we got on the list and you hadn't talked about it yet, I was really, really scared that it wasn't even going to be on your list. Number 2, depending on what your number 1 is, obviously, I'm okay with it at your number 2 spot. But I do think it's better than their WrestleMania match.
You got to rewatch it.
Okay.
Rewatch it, because I have not watched this match since it aired. You know what I mean? Or maybe a year after it aired.
I watched it about 4 or 5 years ago, but
it's been a while since I watched it. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you that this match is not awesome, because it is 100% awesome. However, I think I just had it on a pedestal for so many years. And when I rewatched it, I was like, I think I kind of like the WrestleMania match better.
Okay. I will reserve judgment until I go and rewatch both.
Yeah.
Because the WrestleMania match is great. It's one of only 2 triple threat matches that I love. I'm not a big triple threat match guy. But I love that match.
Yeah.
So this I shouldn't say one of 2. One of, let's say, 10 in history.
Yeah.
That I actually love. But this rematch, I remember thinking, why are they doing this? We've done it. Why do it again? It's stupid. Because I wasn't even sold that they should have done it the first time. Why'd Sean weasel his way in? Okay, we got a great match, but why are they doing it again? And then they did it again, and I'm like, oh, okay. because it's the 3 greatest wrestlers on the planet. That's why.
And boy, did these guys ever put Benoit over. Triple H tapped at Mania, Sean tapped at Backlash
100%.
here, right? Like,
yeah.
The crowd was in fire. It was in Benoit's hometown.
It would have been so easy for this to be the Triple H and Shawn Michaels show, and Benoit's just there. You know what I mean? Because that's what the feud was. It was Shawn and Trips, and then all of a sudden, Benoit was like, "Well, I get to face the champion." You know what I mean? So it would have been easy for him to be the odd man out. And they didn't make it like that at all for either match.
Yeah, I mean, these 3 speak for themselves, right? These 3 speak for themselves. 2 of the greatest champions of all time, and then Benoit. He didn't have the most crazy title run of all time, but I don't think there's a better technical wrestler in the world than Chris Benoit ever. The believability that guy brings into the ring.
I will. It's hard to disagree with you.
Him or Bryan Danielson are my 2 that I think are the best wrestlers in the world.
Okay. I'm going to throw a name out there just to throw it out there. That I consider one of the greatest scientific and technical wrestlers ever. And that's Dean Malenko.
Yeah, Dean's up there too. I just think but
am I willing to say Malenko's better than Benoit? I'm not sure. It's hard for me.
I don't think you can say that Malenko's better than Benoit or Danielson, and that's not a knock on Malenko, because Malenko.
I do think Malenko's better than Hart. I will say that.
Ooh, that's a good debate. I think, and of course, Kurt Angle as well. Kurt Angle is probably.
Ooh, Kurt's got to be in that conversation. You're right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's kind of a good segue for my number 1.
Sounds like a list.
Yeah. Kurt Angle's also in the conversation for my number 1. So is Chris Benoit. It is the ultimate submission match from Backlash 2001.
How the fuck did I forget about this? Okay. This match, I think, is better than its WrestleMania.
A million percent it is, because they only got like 9 minutes at WrestleMania on 1 week build.
Yeah, no, this match, they went all the way. Fuck, how could I even forget that this happened? This was a great match.
I love this match.
Okay, I am 100% on board with you for this being your number 1.
Yeah, when I made this
I'm
list,
down.
When I made this list, I had them flipped. I was like, yeah, this is the way it is. And then I rewatched matches, and I was like, God damn.
If it was me making the list, Sean, the 20 rematch would have been my easy number 1.
Yeah.
Until I rewatched this.
That's exactly what happened to me.
Yeah.
Exactly what happened to me.
Yeah, I got you.
2 of the best technical wrestlers having a technical wrestling match for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Submission match, and they didn't go crazy with the submissions. It was like 3-3, you know what I mean? Like, they went to overtime, which was great, but they respected the submission holds, you know what I mean? If you get on that big move, there was a quick tap out, you know what I mean? They told the story, I got to save myself for 30 minutes. I have to tap out.
Exactly. Without them making them look weak. That's the hard part. When I first found out this match was happening back in the day, I'm like, this is stupid to me, because what? Angle's gonna tap out to the crossface and then get up and keep going. It just makes him look weak, but it didn't. The way they pulled it off, the way they told the story, just like you said, it was hey man, I have to keep going for 25 more minutes. I'm just gonna tap out, and then I'm gonna make him tap out twice.
Yep.
And that story was told. The commentary did a great job telling that story as well. That was very important.
Yes, and Heyman and JR are one of my all-time favorite commentary teams, so bonus points for that as well. So that's my list. Now, I know you said that you had a couple in mind that you hadn't heard yet. What was left off?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing's been left off now. You got everything that I was thinking. Yeah.
So matches that I did leave off, I'll just run through the other couple really quick. Batista versus Triple H in 05 It was just okay. This one I thought was going to make the list when I started watching it. Trish Stratus and Mickey James from 06. They were having a hell of a match, but I think Trish got hurt and they kind of stopped it abruptly.
Okay.
Undertaker and Edge, 2008. They just had a good match, but I just thought the other matches were better.
Their match at WrestleMania is hard to beat. It really is.
Yes. This one's going to get me heat from our friend Jonah, who unfortunately we were recording way too late tonight, so I had to push Jonah for another week. We still love you, buddy. But Matt Hardy versus Jeff Hardy in the I Quit match from 2009. The finish was great, but the match was like Matt worked Jeff's leg the whole match. It was weird.
I just don't have good memories of that feud in general. I really don't.
This one I thought was going to make the list, and I almost put this on as my number 7, but I really hated the finish. AJ Styles versus Nakamura, where they just double dick kick. It was a no DQ match, and they double dick kicked each other, and that was the end of the match.
Yeah.
And that's it. So my question I pose to you then, because now you have watched Backlash. I have not.
I have.
Yes. So there were 4 WrestleMania rematches that happened at Backlash this week.
Yeah.
My number 7, Regal Jericho. My number 6, Benoit MVP. Edge and Randy 5. Rock Austin 4. Taker Batista 3. Benoit Triple H Edge Benoit Triple H HBK 2. Benoit Angle 1. Did any matches from the pay-per-view last week, would they have taken a spot on this list?
Yes.
What do you got? What would
at least one?
Yeah.
Possibly 2.
Okay.
So I would make a case for AJ and Edge because it was really fucking good. Now, Rollins and Cody was also really fucking good.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, there's 3 of them because Rollins and Cody is better than your Jericho and Regal match.
That's a fun match.
Yes. But then Edge and AJ is a top 5 list maker for sure.
I think that you could easily bump my 7 and 6, Benoit and MVP and Jericho and Regal for those 2.
And then as your number 3 on this list, I would put Ronda and Charlotte. So that match was so fucking good.
What do you bump? Because you got to bump one more match.
What's your number 6? What was your number 6?
My number 6 was Benoit MVP, but that's gone because you want Edge and AJ.
Okay, what was your number 5?
Edge and Randy Orton. So you got to bump either Edge, Randy Orton, Rock Austin, or Edge and AJ.
I wouldn't have had it that low anyway. So
do you bump Rock and Austin?
Rock and Austin.
Yeah. Do you bump Edge and AJ?
This is hard for me because I just watched Edge and AJ. I haven't watched Rock and Austin, not in years, anyways. So right now, I'd have to go with Edge and AJ. It was really good. It was really, really good. I could contest to. I'd have to go watch. Like it could get bumped up. If any match could get bumped up, it'd be that one, maybe.
Yeah.
Or even no. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard because they were so good. But no way in hell would I ever bump. I can't say enough good things about Ronda and Charlotte. It's Ronda's best WWE match.
I'm looking forward to watching that. I'm looking forward to watching Seth and Cody.
The story those 2 women told was phenomenal. We saw a side of Charlotte that I loved, this vicious side that you actually believed that she belonged in an I Quit match against the baddest woman on the planet. You know what I mean? Like she belonged there. She was toe to toe with Ronda fucking Rousey, and you believed that. Do you know the finish?
I don't. I have not. I know who goes over, but I don't. I don't know.
May I spoil it for you or no?
No, I'm gonna watch it. Watch it.
All right. Let's just say it's one of my favorite finishes. At the very least, if this is not match of the year for so far, it's definitely finish of the year. It's my favorite finish so far this year. I loved it.
Sweet. I'm excited to watch it. I'm excited to watch a few of those matches. I've got the next couple of days off work.
This is a pay-per-view of the year candidate for me.
Amazing. I can't wait for it.
The only match that fell flat was Corbin versus Moss, and even that wasn't nearly as bad as the critics are saying. Every other match was a minimum of fucking 9 out of 10. Every match.
Well, that's amazing, man. I got some stuff to watch here, and I also want to watch something that happened on Raw tonight. Austin Theory and Cody had a match, and you know what they did on Raw that I loved? They brought back the old school looking Mean Gene podium interview.
Oh, cool! I didn't know that.
With the crowd in the background. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like they I guess they've been listening to the Classic Match Classroom where I put that over all the time. Which is coming back this week with War Games. We're returning this week.
Which War Games are you doing?
The original War Games, 87.
Okay.
Got the whole build up for it and everything.
You and I are working on a side project right now that we'll talk about soon.
Let's talk about it a bit, yeah.
Yeah, where I have discovered my new favorite War Games.
Yeah, it's a tough one to argue. It's going to be, I can't wait for that. Real quick before we sign off, let's just pay the bills. Pro Wrestling Tees counted out 7. Make sure you guys are checking out Barry Wrestling this weekend. If you're in the area, we will be there. We will be back. It's going to be great. Help out Rory Fox. Donate to his GoFundMe because we love Rory Fox. And our good friend Bronwyn Billington, the new book on the British Bulldogs has come out. She is very heavily involved with it, and she is selling autographed copies through her Instagram. So look her up on Instagram and get yourself an autographed copy of the book. I can't wait to get mine.
And if for some reason you haven't done it, look us up on Instagram. Hit those like buttons everywhere you go. Twitter, Instagram, right here on YouTube. Hit the like, subscribe, do everything. Share. Let people know about us, man. Word of mouth is key. Those subscribe buttons help us every single time. The more subscribers we can get, the more content that we can create, and the better it is for this show.
The bigger guests that we can get, support.
Absolutely.
Bigger guests we can bring.
And trust me, we've got our toes in some water. We have, holy crap. We've got at least one confirmed that we're not going to talk about yet. Then we have like 3 others that are just, we're ready to sign. We have some stuff coming.
All I will say is the guests that I'm pretty sure we're finalizing, confirming. It's going to be a buzzing good time.
Yeah.
And the guests
it'll be a jumping good time.
Oh. And the guests that I'm hoping to get for the summer, I think will be the biggest guest in the history of Counted Out history.
Yeah, it's gonna and will remain to be so, because if we do get this gentleman, it'll be hard to beat.
But
for years after. That's if we do it.
We won't know that for another month. We're still that's a month away. So either way, I don't know. I got nothing else. I'll take it all.
I got nothing else, man. This was a good show. I didn't think I'd be awake for this. We went a little later because you got really fucking busy at work.
Yes.
And I had 7 Cottage Springs before even going on with you, and I've had 3 more since. So I'm surprised I'm sober.
Somehow you've had 10 Cottage Springs tonight, and you said half of the fuck bombs that you dropped last week. Danny is the best.
I still don't know if I believe you. I'm going to go back and listen to the show. You said that I've said more. I said fuck more times in last week's show than I have in the history of Counted Out
combined.
And I felt like me and Danny were tame last week compared to what we could have been.
You just said fuck every 30 seconds, maybe 25, but it was still a great show.
What you're saying is last week was your mother's favorite show.
Oh my God, my poor mother. And on Mother's Day week.
On Mother's Day, no less. Yes. All right, let's do this. Thank you for listening once again. We will be back next week. Not sure what we're doing yet.
That's your list.
It's my list. I'll think of something fun. We're getting close to me saying bye-bye for a few weeks. But until then, you're stuck with me. And because of that, we have been counted out.
Cheers!
Attention wrestling fans, Kevin Taskmaster Sullivan is coming to the GTA for the first time in 25 years. Gotham Central Comics will welcome the Taskmaster himself on Saturday, May 28th for a meet and greet and autograph session. Come on down to Gotham Central at 1400 Aimco Boulevard, that's Dixie and the 401, from 1 to 4 p.m. for this awesome event.